Welcome back, everybody. We're excited to be back for the Week 10 edition of the 2021 season of the BSB. I'm Sean Cows.
I'm Tony James.
Tony, our second season, 10 weeks in already. I can't believe we would be doing this well and going this far. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm excited. I love doing this every week with you. I love being with you, and I love helping you guys learn how to bet, help you out. Hopefully, you're learning. If it's been the past couple of weeks, you've been kicking our picks to the curb and making money. But we are your betting strategy brothers. And for those of you that are new, we are teachers by trade. So we are here to teach you. While we don't guarantee any of our picks, we hope they can help you. So that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, man. Hope while you're doing this, hopefully you pick up some good strategies or some good things to take with you as you go through your Saturdays and your Sundays and sometimes your Friday nights and your Mondays and make some good decisions so you can make your weekend a little bit more profitable, right?
I agree. That's what we're here for, is trying to take down Vegas.
Yeah, slowly but surely, one brick at a time, we will do that. But one thing that I also like doing is drinking while I'm at home.
Football without drinking is...
Oh, man, it's so boring, man. Especially last week, I was watching the Nevada game, and I had to have a few just to settle my ass down. It was crazy, but
yeah.
Holy cow.
Well, I mean, it can be done. I'm not saying you have to drink, but it definitely makes it more entertaining. Just like it does gambling on the game, it makes it more entertaining.
For sure. And you know what? The common thread there, Kaus, is that as long as you're doing it responsibly, it's all good.
Agreed.
It's all good.
Agreed. So what are you drinking this week?
My flavor of the week is Coronado Brewing from San Diego, their 25th anniversary San Diego style India Pale Ale, or IPA as it's known in the biz. It's so good, but I feel a little dirty because Nevada's playing San Diego State this weekend, and I've got a San Diego beer, and it just feels a little wrong. So tomorrow I'm going to go on a quest to find some Nevada beers to drink while I watch the game on Saturday night. So that's what I'm drinking. What do you got?
So I went, past couple weeks I've been doing Northern Arizona breweries. This week I headed out your way. I actually didn't go out that way, but as far as my beer is concerned, you turned me onto this a few years ago, and I love it. I'm going with Stone Brewery out there, and I'm going with also an IPA. Actually, my when I took my 10-year-old with me to the store real quick to grab this today on the way home, he goes, "What's Stone IPA?" It's not IPA, but it's IPA. So I got a good laugh out of that. But yeah, IPA is the way to go this week, apparently.
Yeah, and you got a San Diego one as well. So, man, I hope we didn't jinx my team, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I hope not. Wolfpack will be fine, I'm sure.
Well, let's take a look back and see how we did last week. Kaus, how did you do?
Do we have to look back at that?
Well, we could just say we did okay and then move on. I mean, I'm totally down for that.
we want to be honest with our viewers. Another week, a rough week for everybody, not just us. And I read an article saying that last week was one of Vegas's most profitable weeks in the NFL in years. And when you have six over 5-point favorites lose outright, that's going to happen.
Yep.
So I lost my straight pick of Houston. I thought they'd come back and beat Miami. They didn't. And the Rams. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but for 20 and 25, and Houston, I had upset in Miami, or not up. Well, I guess it wasn't upset because they were dogs. But man, the last two games Miami's won, and last night was pretty good. So
yeah, for sure.
Getting a little scary there, but and then lost on Dallas and Buffalo in my parlay. That probably was $30. I think everybody lost on Buffalo and Dallas. I mean, I'm still a Bills fan. They got work to do. I never turned my back on the Bills, but that was terrible. Run the damn ball. When you only have 9 rushing attempts in a game, there's an issue. And I don't care who your goddamn running back is. You don't get better by not doing it. I don't care
No,
who you are. You got
that's
to
right.
get better by doing it. So yeah, that pissed me off watching, and I was yelling. And luckily, it didn't break my TV. But I did lose 30 on that. I lost my $22 teaser because of Cincy. I actually got my college pick right in Wake Forest plus 8.5. But Cincy came back and laid an egg.
Mhm.
And then I had another $30 teaser that had Cincy in it as well. That screwed me. I won my prop bet of Hurts rushing over 49.5 yards. I think he had 62.
Mhm.
So that 42 won me 20. But once again, I went all in on Burrow and Allen. This first time, in retrospect, it's the first time that the Burrow bet has let me down. So I can't complain too much. But each of those were $20, so I lost those. My pleaser went down, having both the Buffalo and Dallas favorites lose.
Mhm.
So there's another 20. So I bet 229, only got back 62 of it. So I'm down 167 after last week.
So you make a good point about the bet with Joe Burrow, because you said that was the first time this season that has not hit. So if you
That I've
so
bet it. That's the first time it hasn't hit that I've bet it.
so and what have you bet it? Like I think you've bet it 5 times in a row.
I think it was 4 or 5, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll say 4 just to be conservative. Um, so you've won it 4 times. You lost it 1 time. That means you're still ahead. And so those are some of the things that we're looking for when we're talking about strategies, right? Is we're looking for trends. We're looking for, bet against the Coyotes right now. Yeah, they might win some games, but you're probably going to win more than you lose.
Won me tonight.
Exactly. Those are the things you want to look for. Bet against, Jacksonville. If they win something, great, but you're probably going to win more than you lose. Or for me, it's bet Tampa Bay, because they're probably going to win you more than they lose. So,
Correct. And you can go and you can actually go on the vice versa of that.
mhm,
Especially with a team like Jacksonville. Now maybe Detroit, I wouldn't take this bet. But if you were to throw $5 on Jacksonville on the money line every single game this year, I would, and I don't have every line in front of me, and I don't obviously we don't know what the lines are going to be down the road. But I would venture to guess on the money line they're plus 500 every game or close to it. You know what I
oh yeah,
mean? So if you're putting $5 on Jacksonville on the money line and they win 5 games this year, and if we're assuming that every line they're going to be plus 500 because they're going to be
mhm.
big underdogs, if that's the case, you make money in the end. So
Yeah,
all they got to win is 5 games, and they're already halfway there. So almost halfway there, but it's stuff like that where it's like you might take that strategy, you might lose, and that may not
mhm.
happen. They may not win 5 games, but man, if they were to win 7, 8 games, now you made a lot of money.
Yeah, this week they're plus 355. So if you put $5 on it, you win what, about 17, $18. So,
Hmm.
that's not nothing to shake a stick at.
Correct. And if you're doing $5 a game, you're spending $90. So if you get 15, $20 a game at 5 wins, you're over 100. You're at 100 and you're over it. So
And there you
you
go.
made
Right.
money. So that's a strategy you can take. So, all right. How'd you do last week?
Well, I lost my pick with the Raiders for 20, but I hit the Army Air Force under by 2 points. But a win is a win. I'll
Yeah.
never apologize for a win. So I hit that
No,
one.
that was, you had to sweat that out. It was 0-0 at half, too.
Oh, it looked glorious at halftime, and then all of a sudden it turned into a point parade. It's like, what the hell? Um, so that got me some money back. I lost my parlay because of Cincinnati. Nevada couldn't cover the 4.5. They got the over, but 1 out of 2 doesn't do anything. I covered my Wake Boise Hawaii teaser, so that won me some. I think it was 32. I lost my NFL teaser for 20. Carr just missed 308. He had 296, so missed 11 there. But Houston was under 20.5, so I got that one. And then my pleaser went in the toilet too because I had Cincinnati. So I bet $154. I got back 112. So I was down 42 last week.
Nice. So you didn't, I mean, that's not terrible.
No.
I would definitely trade that for how I did. So I started with 1346. last week. Now I'm down to 1179 plus the weekly 100. You started with 869. Now I have 827. So the weekly 100. So
yeah, we're doing all right, man. We're doing all right.
yeah,
We keep
we
on
are.
pushing along, and to weather a couple of bad weeks. Like last week was just brutal. Like I
Yeah,
had a
week
really
before
good,
was brutal.
yeah, and like last week I had a really good Saturday, and then Sunday just not so much. So
Mhm.
to be able to weather those things and manage a bad week with minimal losses, that's a good thing for me.
Yeah, and I do want to I want to say something on that too. Like we've said it multiple times on the show. Like don't when you bet something, expect to lose it. Don't
Hmm.
hope to. Obviously, we're hoping to make money, but you expect to lose it, so you can't be butthurt when you lose. Like we've budgeted $100 a week for this show. Like
Hmm.
that's budgeted, and we plan on that. We plan on losing that every year. Well, every year. It's our second year. We've done it last year. We did it this year. We budgeted $100. So it it's we go in planning to lose it, and if we do, we do crappy, but whatever. We're not losing rent. We're not losing. We're not starving our kids because of that. In one of somebody this week was talking to me and like, man, I got to get that money back. I got to get that money. Like, you can't look at it that way. If you go into a bet going, I got to get my losses back, I got to get my losses back, they're just going to keep piling up, and you're make poor decisions trying to get these long shots to hit to get your money back.
Hmm.
If you just say, hey, this is a new week, I'm starting out $0. I'm not ahead or behind from last week. Last week was past. I'm gonna just, and I mean, yeah, if you're ahead, you might make a little, kind of, but even being ahead, sometimes you make, I got this money, I can spend it on this long shot, and then you lose it again, and it's like, why did you waste that money? So, like,
Yep.
you want to basically start every week. This is what I'm losing this week. Every week, don't forget about last week. Just every week, this is what I'm doing, and go from there. I plan on losing this, and when I hit it, it's gonna be great. So
Yep.
you don't want to chase, and you don't want to waste money because I'm ahead, I can just spend random money, and you don't want to chase, because then both of those lead to poor decisions, and you just end up getting in the hole more and more.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, so I'm starting with 1279. You're starting with 927.
I'm
As
in.
always, we're gonna start with our straight picks. Remember, a straight pick is just who's going to win or what is the result of the game, one at a time, nothing put together, nothing
Mhm.
of itself. So my first straight pick is Tampa Bay on the money line, 45 to win $10. I've said it before and I say it again. A lot of people refuse to bet. I have to lay 45. Excuse me. I have to lay $45 down to win 10. And my response in this: do you really think Washington is going to beat Tampa Bay?
No.
And they'll say, no way. Now, there is that kind of, there could beat Buffalo last week and yes, of
Mhm.
course, there is that chance. I can't argue that. But in my mind, I go, there's no way Tampa Bay is coming off a bye. I saw a stat like Brady is 16, there it is, 16-5 in his career coming off a bye. 16-5. And now you're coming off against Washington. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
it's in
take my chances.
Washington. Yeah, I'll take my chances on that, and I'll lay 45 to win 10 because basically Vegas is just giving me a free $10. That's how I'm
Hmm.
looking at it. They're 1-7 against the spread, which is worse than the NFL. I do understand that Gronk and Brown are not playing, but when they're a 10-point spread, I'll take the money line, take the spread out of it, and not worry about it. I do that often on this show and in my bets. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about if Washington backdoors because they took Brady out, whatever. So 45 to win 10. And then my next bet, I'm prefacing on who plays. As of today, as of Friday, I'm taking Seattle Green Bay under 49. And it's 22 to win 20. Now, the reason I'm taking the under is because it's going to be snowing, it's going to be freezing. Wilson's supposed to be back, but how is that weather going to affect the fingers? And then will Rodgers be back? He's supposed to be able to come back Saturday based on his COVID test and stuff like that. If that all goes through, he's back. If he's back, I might change this bet and not go under 49. So I'd actually right now I kind of have this written down and not actually placed because I'm waiting to see what happens on Sunday because he has to wait till tomorrow because of COVID protocol. So once I know that, this bet may change because I think at home in the snow and whatever he's used to it, I think he can score at least 3 touchdowns. Russell Wilson, I'm not sure how he's going to do. So when I look at that and go, maybe 2, maybe 3 touchdowns there, that's 42. And then if it gets 21-21, or I could see Rodgers march him down the field with 2 minutes left and scoring a touchdown that puts it over. So that's, puts it over. So that's why if Rodgers is there, I want to go over. But right now I'm going that it's going to be under.
Yeah, you know what, that Green Bay game was, man, last week it was kind of dreadful to watch. You had Jordan Love, who, look, it's going to be a step down from Rodgers. You just have to expect that. But between him and Mahomes, I don't know what's happened to Mahomes. If teams have just figured him out, or if he's just like seriously just, it's just a struggling season for him. But that game was pretty difficult to watch. And so based on that and that alone, I'm inclined to agree with you on the under there. I think that's a great move.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm right, but once again, depends on Rodgers.
For sure.
So those are my 2 straight picks. What do you got going on in your straight picks?
I went 2 games when I went the totals only. I didn't pick a side. I just went totals. The first one is my Nevada Wolfpack at San Diego State. I took the under in this game, under 45.5. The under is 4-0-1 for the Wolfpack in their last 5 games in November. And if you think that's a good stat, it is 10-1-1 for the Aztecs in their last 12 November games. These 2 teams played last year in November. It was a push on the total. It was 26-21. San Diego State cannot throw the ball to save their life. It will be a run fest. And so you have like a team that's their strength is running the ball and defense versus a team whose strength is passing the ball. So that just screams that it's going to be an underplay. This game could easily be 21-17. So I'm going to take the under there. And then I'm taking on Sunday the Bills and Jets to go over 47.5. So I'm betting small amounts here. I'm betting $20 on each one to win back 17 and 18 respectively. The over is 5-0 in the last 5 games for the Jets. I don't know what's up with Mike White, but he seems to be doing a better job than Zach Wilson was. So, and they're going to keep riding that. But on the other side of the ball, you have a team in the Bills coming off of a, for lack of a better term, crap performance against Jacksonville, and they're going to be looking to make a statement.
You're being kind.
So I see this game going over. I see this game. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go over by a lot necessarily. This is like a 28-24 type of game for me. We'll talk about the side that I pick later on. But I'm going 1 under, 1 over this week, and we'll see what happens.
I'm not at all arguing with you on the Nevada pick. Usually you get, one of my other friends said, hey, Tony, when he gets that one game, that one college game, he's all over it and he has a strong feeling and he's usually right about it. So, and I feel that feeling with you on the Nevada game. So I'm not arguing with you at that. I'm going to go with you on that one.
You're going to argue with me on the Bills.
I am going to argue with you on the Bills. And look, Buffalo's going to come out. They're going to win this game, and I am not arguing that at all. They've had they've had 2 shit performances in a row. And Tennessee, I don't want to call that a bad performance. It wasn't a bad performance because if Allen doesn't slip, if he just runs forward and gets that first down and they win it, then we're talking a whole different thing. Even though they didn't play tremendous that game.
Mhm.
They were in it, but even though they won 2 weeks ago, it wasn't a great performance. And last week obviously was terrible. But once again, they didn't run the ball. So,
True.
but because of what you said, they're going to come out and look to make a statement. They're going to look to make a statement about the running game. So they're going to run the ball. It's supposed to be raining and windy. There's like all sorts of
Yes.
wind. There's supposed to be like wind advisories all week, or all weekend. I'm sorry. So like today, tomorrow, Saturday, today, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday are all supposed to have
Mhm.
wind and rain. And Buffalo needs to come out and say, hey, we ran it 9 times last week. We're going to run it this week until we can't do it anymore. So I think they're going to try to make a statement with the running game. Yes, I know Zach Moss is in concussion protocol and he might not run, but Singletary's done it before when I've watched him come out of halves and given it to Singletary every single play of the drive and they score.
Mhm.
Like, why do you only do that one drive of the game and then it does whatever? But when you look at the trends, yeah, over is 6-0 and Bills' last 6 games after allowing 250 yards, but under's 4-0 in their last 4 versus a team with a losing record. It's 18-6 in the past 24 games, following a straight up loss. Under 6-2 in Bills' last 8 games. Like, there's so many times the under trends for the Bills in that in this thing that I just, on top of that, it's 48, 47 and a half, 47 and a
47
half
and a
when
half.
we write that. Even if Buffalo says, all right, I'm going to come out and make a statement, this could easily be a 40-0 game. Because I
You're
don't
right.
think I don't think Mike White is going to. He's trending downward. He came out on fire, and now he's trending downward. So,
Well, of
in
course he's going to trend downward. He threw for 400 yards his first game. Of
I
course he's going to
agree.
trend
I
downward.
agree. I'm not arguing that, but you're right. But now they have a lot of film on him. They know what New York's going to do with him. The first game was like, oh, was that a fluke? So then the second game is okay. Maybe it
Mhm.
was a fluke. Maybe it wasn't. Third game, now we know what to expect. Now we got enough film on him to know what they're going to run with him. I think Buffalo holds them to probably under 14 points, maybe even under 7, and I don't think that side is going to get enough for the Bills to get the over total. So that's where I'm seeing that one.
So you make a great point there on over strategies, Kaus. When you're talking about over strategies, we got to compensate for both sides, right? You got to look at the team that's favored and the underdog. And this is a great example that you bring up. Your concern with my pick is that you don't think the Jets are going to score enough, right? And so that's why
Agreed.
you would lean the other way on this. And that's a great point because the Bills might come up and hold up their end of the bargain, right? They might hold up their end of the 47 and a half and score 35. But if the Jets only score 10, now I'm taking it in the shorts because they didn't score enough. So that's a
Correct.
great point of things that we need to look at.
And another stretch you always have to look at is the weather. I mean, that weather,
Mm.
when we're talking about Mike White, Allen can throw through that kind of weather. I doubt Mike White can. Um,
Are you
I mean,
doubting the
I'm
Western Kentucky Hilltopper?
even we don't know. I could be way wrong on that, but I doubt he can. Um,
No,
in
well,
you
I'm
look,
sorry.
you saw it in the Indy game. What was that Thursday night, Monday? That was a Monday night Indy game where it was raining like cats and dogs. Like, we should have taken the under if we would have
Mhm.
been paying attention to the weather. So that's something else you got to pay attention to.
Well, no, and you make a great point too. Josh Allen has the experience. He played in cold weather in college. He's played in cold weather now. He's done it for 7, 8 years. He knows how to do it, right? He can figure it out. Mike
Yep.
White, maybe not so much. So once
Well, and
again,
Allen has the arm strength to do it too.
true there. So it'll be interesting. I think I'm going to do it anyway, though. I think I'm going to
All
take the
right.
over anyway and see what
All
happens.
right, that's you're giving Vegas money. All right. So that's our straight picks for the week. Let's go into our parlays. Remember, parlay is when you're putting at least 2 legs or 2 teams together. It could be, and I say legs. They call them legs. They call them teams. It could be um, an over and a team. It could be a team on the money line and a different team on points. It could be all sorts of different scenarios put together, and you do parlays to try to increase your odds. The
Mhm.
more teams or legs you put on it, the more money you could make, the more the odds are in your favor. I like to use them more so when I'm betting a lot of favorites or a lot of what we call negative money, where you're putting down more than you're going to win. I like to
Mhm.
put those together to try to make more money. When I feel most of them are guaranteed, sometimes I'll just take a long shot. But when I feel most of them, like, yeah, I got that. Um, but I don't want to do like the Tampa Bay game. I'm putting 45 to win 10. I desperately need to win after the last 2 weeks. So I'm taking that and taking that $10 and just and once again, I'm not going like, oh my God, I gotta catch up. It's
Mhm.
just I need kind of a confidence booster. So while I think that would normally for me be in a parlay, the Tampa Bay game, I want to take that and just say, yes, I got to win under my belt. I don't care how much it is. I'm not trying to make my losses. It's just for my mental case. Yeah, I got to win. Like that's, and that's what it felt like today for me when the Coyotes lost. I told you I've been betting against them all year, and they won in this weekend when I got my ass kicked last weekend, and they
Mhm.
won, and that didn't help the whole cause. I'm like, oh man, I lost like everything.
Yep.
And then, I need that confidence booster. So that's what a parlay does for you. So my parlay this week, I have the Patriots on the money line. I got the Titans on the money line. I'm taking Philly, Denver under 45 and a half. And I'm taking Atlanta plus 8.5. Okay. Um, New England, they're New England's freaking good. And I'll tell you what, as a Bills fan, I'm worried about New England coming up. Mac Jones is legit. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, but he's
Mhm.
pretty freaking legit. I feel like he might be as good or better than Josh Allen coming out his rookie year, which scares the crap out of me to say. Um, so I think they can they can handle Cleveland. Cleveland's coming off a big win. They put a lot of
Mhm.
work into that, but they don't have Nick Chubb anymore. They're both their two number one starting running backs are out. Um, so that's going to hurt them a little bit. It is
Mhm.
raining all weekend there. That's that New England, New York, New Jersey kind of whole thing is getting
Yep.
hammered. So um, I don't think without Chubb they can win this game. I mean, Cleveland's number one in the rush yards, but that's because of the two running backs that are now on injured reserve. Um, I don't with now you're asking Baker to beat you, and we said that last week. Baker can't beat you. Well, he did beat Cincinnati, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But I think Cincinnati was coming off a high horse
Mhm.
and kind of overlooked them, thinking they were going to walk all over them. They didn't. But now I think they're kind of Cleveland's in that other boat. Tennessee just looks outstanding. Now that you got the Saints, you're taking out could be Taysom Hill, could be Trevor Simeon. You never know who's going to be the quarterback, which actually is to their advantage because they can switch in and out and give you different looks. But now
Mhm.
with Kamara being out, like they don't have anything in Tennessee. God, they look impressive last week. Everybody thought Derrick Henry, they're done. They're not done. They're favorites now. And you got AP who they're going to get in the end zone, I think, twice because he's at 125 now. He's tied with Walter Payton, so he gets another one. He's ahead of Walter Payton for touchdowns. He gets and once he gets to 126, now he's tied with Jim Brown. He gets another one. He's past Jim Brown. I think they're going to try to look to do that against a Saints team who's not going to be able to do a lot offensively. I don't think. So I'm saying, yeah, the Saints aren't going to hang with that. Philly, Denver under. Um, Philly can win this if they run, and I think they know that. They did that last week. They ran the ball a lot, and running one for them, and I think you keep it that way. And when they run, that means less points. A running game means less points. So I'm going to take the under. Um, what's funny about this is if Denver wins this game outright, they'll have swept the division 4-0. Um, yeah.
The
So,
NFC East.
yep. So
Holy
AFC.
smokes.
So that's yeah, that's going to be so. We'll see how that goes. Atlanta is facing their former coach is the DC of Dallas. I don't think they can win this, but I think they can keep it within a touchdown. Um, when you look last year, Dallas needed an onside kick to beat them. Dallas is coming off a horrible loss. They're going to come back ready to play, but it's still Dan Quinn as their DC. You know what I mean? So you know a little bit of what's going on there. Matt Ryan definitely knows what to expect from a Dan Quinn defense. So Dallas is 7-1 against the spread this season, but last week was that one loss. So that could be a trend. You never know. Um, but Dak is also 5-1 against the spread in conference games, but most of those games have been under touchdown spreads. So I think it was 3 of them were under touchdown spread. So this one going over a touchdown is not. I think that's too much. So my 20 is going to win me 189.
Yeah, you got a big baller parlay right here. I love it. Man,
and that's only 4 teams too.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Dallas was the opposite of impressive last week. I don't know if it was just, in the span of, and it's really easy in basketball or hockey, in a span of 82 games, you're going to throw a few stinkers up there and the coach is just like, just burn the tape and we're moving on. Right. And I felt that was one of those games for Dallas last week. There was just burn the tape and move on. But
Dak had to brush off some rust too.
But you're looking at that and man, it's like, I know the Cowboys are pretty good, but that 8.5 just scares me if I'm betting on the Dallas side. If it was 5.5, I'd maybe be a little more excited about Dallas. But at 8.5, I just think it's too much.
Now, if we're talking money line, I take money line all the way. I take Dallas there.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I think 5.5, 6 is the threshold where if I want to take points, I'm going to take Atlanta. And who knows, Atlanta could come out and possibly win this game. They got a little streak going themselves. They're not looking terrible. I really don't think they can. I think Dallas is the better team.
Yeah.
But if somehow they have a miracle and win, I don't think it's a miracle, but if they do pull off the upset, then I'm winning anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised I don't think anybody would be surprised if Atlanta wins. I really don't, except everybody in Dallas. I don't think anybody would be surprised at all.
I agree. All right, what's your parlay this week?
Well, I'm kind of hoping that Dallas does win because on my parlay, I have Tampa Bay and then any team playing another team from the NFC South because the NFC South continues to burn me week in and week out. And so I've got, except for Tampa. So I've got Tampa, Tennessee, Dallas, and Arizona on the money line. My $20 is going to win 39. I've got a lot of favorites in there. In fact, I think I have all favorites in there. So it's basically paying me double of what I'm putting down. I find it difficult to bet against Tom Brady right now. Tennessee we were talking earlier, man. They just went through murderer's row on their schedule and just they annihilated the Rams. That game wasn't even close. They just steamrolled them. It was very impressive.
And the Rams are a lot of people's Super Bowl picks right now to win it all. So, and Tennessee just rolled them without Henry.
Yes, exactly. And you wonder if Tennessee, if that win, made the Rams start to make moves because, they acquired Miller before that game, but now they acquired Beckham and it's like, kind of force their hand a little bit. I don't know. Maybe.
Obviously the Rams are all in right now, but I'm also wondering how much of that shellacking was how do we play Tennessee without Derrick Henry? We know what to expect with Derrick Henry. Now, what do we not know without him? So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. If maybe people catch up to Tennessee. Now, I still don't see it, but it could be.
No, I don't see it either. And the only game we didn't talk about was Arizona and Carolina. You got PJ Walker playing for Carolina, and the backup is your boy Scam Newton. And then for Arizona, Kyler's a game time decision, but they didn't look like it looked like next man up last week for Arizona. So Yeah, I'll take my chances. And once again, on the money line, you win by 1, you win by 50, it's still a win. And so if it does happen to come down to a late game score, I'll take Arizona there. My 20 is going to win me 39.
Yeah, and I agree. And I'm done betting against Arizona for right now anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, if Colt McCoy plays again, which I don't think he's going to, but if he does, I don't think he can win 2 in a row like that. I, I don't. I think he caught people by surprise, and they weren't. I mean, plus it was San Francisco, but I just don't think they were ready for that Colt McCoy. And once you start getting film on it, it's the same thing as my way. Once you start getting film on him, not that Colt McCoy doesn't have film, but they don't have film with him with Arizona. So, but I agree. Arizona is 7-2 against the spread, 6-1 in past 7 games. But Carolina is 9-3 against the spread in road games under rule. They both have very good Ds, but you're right. They have PJ Walker in at quarterback.
Well,
I think Cam comes in. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Cam comes in and plays, and they said there's packages for him, but I think packages turn into he's just staying in doing it. So I think I'll be honest with you. I think he gives him a better look than PJ Walker does. And I don't think it's not out of the realm for Carolina to win this. Arizona's too good right now.
I
They're
agree.
hot. They're too good. It's too hard to bet against them. I will say one thing about this: we could both win our parlays if Dallas wins that by a field goal.
I'm in. I'm totally down for that. I don't care about, especially Dallas. I don't really care if they win or lose or they implode. But if we can both win, I'm happy. Let's do that.
I agree. All right, let's move on to those are our parlays. We each only did one this week. We're moving to the teaser. Now with the teaser, you cannot pick money line. It has to be all points. But once again, you have to do it more than at least 2. And it can be overs, unders, or spreads. And it's with a teaser, you're giving yourself 6 points in your favor, but that reduces your odds. So you're not going to make as much money. So if you remember, I had a 4-team in my parlay that was $20 to win 189. Now I've got 4 teams in my teaser. It's only 20 to win 49. So you can see the difference there because I'm bending the odds in my favor. So my teaser is Indy minus 4.5. It's New England +5. It's Minnesota +9. And it is your Las Vegas Raiders at +8.5. Indy, they scare me week to week, and they've looked impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they haven't looked impressive, but you got Carson Wentz waiting for a kid to be coming. But you have Taylor's just rushing the crap out of the ball. But Jacksonville is a great running D. They're third for yards per carry and yards per game against the rush. They're 10-1-1 against the spread in the past 12 games. And then obviously last week beating the shit out of Buffalo. Well, not beating the shit, but they did beat Buffalo. Josh Allen on Jacksonville looked amazing. And I even said, I'm like, Josh Allen's going to sack Josh Allen. Like I called that even before the game, and he did, and he picked him off and everything else. I did not think that was going to happen. I'm like, I'll give him a sack. We'll still beat him by 40. That didn't happen. But I mean, Jacksonville's starting to come into their own. Trevor Lawrence is starting to look like he's supposed to. It shows a lot when you get hurt, you leave, you actually walk out, and then you come back in and come back to play, and you're ready to go back. Like, this is a lot to you, especially as a rookie. Like, that kid's legit. Jacksonville's starting to roll, and I freaking hate Urban Meyer, but they're starting to roll. So it does scare me a little bit. I just think Indy has too much going for them right now, and they're going to win that game. But I would not be surprised to lose this teaser on that game. New England, we already talked about. Minnesota. The spread is 3 right now. If it were 3.5, I would have just taken Minnesota on the plus 3.5. But because it's 3, I think this is going to be a field goal game with the Chargers. Here's why. Minnesota's record right now is 3-5, so they've played 8 games. 7 of them have been decided by one score. 7 of their 8 games have been decided by one score. 4 of those, 3 or fewer. 4 of those, 3 or fewer. So when you're telling me I can give Minnesota over a touchdown, I'm going to take it. Chargers have one of the worst run Ds. And, Dalvin Cook is, once again, another topic that we don't support at all on here. He's going to play. He's not officially arrested or jail or anything yet, so he's playing. So that bodes really well for Minnesota. Kirk Cousins has 0 interceptions in the past 7 games. That also bodes really well for Minnesota. I like Herbert. We've talked about us liking him on the show. I think they might win outright, but it's going to be a really freaking close game, so I'm not touching that with anything less than a touchdown. And then your Raiders, it's going to be fun to watch 2 of the best tight ends in the game right now going at it. That'll be fun. But KC's 4-6 against the spread in the past 20 games. So if the spread is them giving up 2.5 points and I can make it 8.5 points, I'm going to. Look, the Raiders still, they lost last week. They didn't look great doing it, but they didn't look terrible. There's a lot to be said about the eye test. And, man, Kansas City is not passing any eye tests at all. So my $20 is going to move me $49, and that's going to be, as long as Indy pulls out their end of the bargain, that's going to be my win.
Yep, there you go. I'm going to talk a little bit about Vegas in a little bit, but this looks solid. Minnesota just hasn't been getting blown out, and that's a huge
at all.
And so we'll see if that line moves. Right now it's at 3. We'll see if it goes to 4, because I tend to agree with you. If it gets to 4, I would pull the trigger on Minnesota for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It was just 3. I'm honestly looking at 3 going, that's probably going to be a push bet at 3. I would rather try to make it for money. That's why I put it in the teaser.
For sure. All right, so I have a teaser for Saturday morning to try and get my day started off right. I've got Penn State plus 7.5 at home against Michigan. I've got Baylor plus 11 against Oklahoma, who is on the no trust list. And I have SMU over 54.5 again with Central Florida. That 15 will win me $24. Penn State actually, they played Michigan very, very well. I think the wrong team's favorite. I think Penn State wins this game, to be honest with you.
I would agree with you.
Baylor's at home against Oklahoma, and I don't trust Oklahoma as far as I can throw them. They're like the worst 4th-ranked team that I've ever seen, other than the year that Notre Dame was ranked 4th.
There you go, hating on the Golden Domers again.
And then SMU is they're just a scoring machine. That should go well over 54.5.
I agree. I like this. I swore off college, so I'm going to stick to that this week. But I do like this bet. If I were, I'll throw money on college later. I'm sure. I say that now, and then tomorrow I'll get the itch and I'll throw something down. So I might pigtail on this one.
My first NFL teaser, I've got the Jets plus 19 against your Bills. I believe in Mike White. I believe that he'll keep it under 19. I think the Bills win. I just, it's a 13-point spread. If I can add 6 to that for a home underdog, usually I ride on that side. And like I said, I think the Bills win. I think they win 31-17. That way it covers my other bet as well.
But I think you're right, just because, like I said, I think Buffalo's going to come out and try to run the shit out of the ball. And I couldn't find a Devin Singletary prop bet when we were looking earlier. They're not out yet. So once that comes out, I'm going to jump all over that. And that leads to them scoring low and keeping it semi-close. So I agree. I hope by Buffalo wins way more than that. But I can easily see that plus 19 hitting.
And I like Jacksonville, Indianapolis under 53.5. The line's at 47.5. I'll take the 6 points. and add it to that to go under 53.5, and then Cleveland, New England over 39. That one was a tough one. You mentioned the weather. I could have went up to 51 and taken the under. I'm going to go the other side because I want to root for points in some game this week. So I'll do that. And that 15 will win me 24. And that's all Sunday morning games, which is nice.
Yeah, you like rooting for points. And I don't blame you. I just think, I mean, you look at what Cleveland did last week and how many points they scored. They threw up a bunch, and that's in your favor. But I just think that in New England, in Foxborough, they're not going to let them score that much on their turf. I think
it's Bill Belly. I mean, like, he's just a master game planner.
Correct. And if you look at here's what I look at. When I look at in Foxborough what the Tampa Bay Tom Brady returning to Foxborough was, it was what, like 1918, or I forgot the final vote. It was really under. Low, and it was under. And I'm like, I think New England's going to do the same thing but win against Cleveland. So that's where I worry about that over for you. I always want you to win, brother, but I don't know about that.
Well, and then my last teaser is all Sunday night. I'm taking Vegas plus 8.5 and over 46 indoors. I think Vegas is the team to beat in that division. That game, the last game of the season, they host the Chargers. I think that's for the division title.
Homer, excuse me.
This is 100% a Homer pick. They played. Those games against the Chiefs last year were two of arguably the most entertaining games in the league the entire season. They went to Kansas City and whooped their ass, and then they came home on a Sunday night, and that last period was incredible. There was 21 points in the last 5 minutes. So I expect nothing less than a score fest this time as well. So I'm going with the over 46 here.
I totally agree with you on the Vegas pick. We already talked about that. And when you look at all these trends in Kansas City, it's like they're 4-11 against the spread in the last 15, 5-16 against the spread in the last 21. They're all of these trends are the Chiefs having a losing record against the spread. There's not one of them that's in their favor. So I 100% agree with you there. The over is where I don't. The under is in once again, we both talked about how terrible they both. Not both. I think Vegas is still a better team than the record is showing. Vegas has had a lot of adversities. You got a coach. You got the Rugs. There's a lot of adversity. I think they're finally starting to go, okay, now we're getting back to normalcy. Let's play some football. And I think they're going to be the better team here. I think they're going to come out on top hard. I just don't know that both teams are going to score enough to get that over 46. I mean, that's 3 touchdowns and a field goal on one side at least, while the other team has 3 touchdowns. So I just don't see Kansas City scoring 3 touchdowns. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, that's cool. As long as the Raiders score 30, I think we'll be okay. Or 30, 34.
I agree.
Just to counter that, the over is 10-0-1 in their last 11 games as a home underdog. 6-0-1 in their last 7 home games versus a team with a winning road record, and 7-1 in the last 8 home games. I think this screams Jerry Lewis score-a-thon.
Under is 4-1 in the Chiefs' last 5 games.
No, we're not talking about that.
I'm just saying. But you're right. These are both teams that try to score a lot, and they like to score a lot, especially when you talk to Mahomes. You got Kelsey, you got Waller going against each other. Like, they're going to try to put up a lot. I'm not arguing with you there. I just
it's
going to happen.
46.
I hope it does. I always hope for you. I just
46. I mean, 46 is kind of a goofy number too, Kaus, because if the game ends 24-21, which is 3 touchdowns and a field goal and 3 touchdowns, that's 45. And so 46 is that kind of goofy. It's like that. It's like that 3.5. When
I
we're
don't.
talking about
Here's
spread.
another. Here's another thing. I don't think this is a close game. I think Vegas wins outright by a touchdown at least.
Oh, I think they whoop their ass
So,
too. I think it, and that's another
which
part that's
doesn't
scary.
bode well for your over.
You need a couple of backdoor touchdowns, right? So,
That's true.
but I'm counting on your prop bet to help me.
All right, so we are going to our prop bets now. Those were our teasers. Our prop bets. Remember, prop bet is now when you're talking about specific things in a game that have zero. I don't want to say zero influence on the outcome, but it doesn't matter what the outcome is. It doesn't matter who wins. It's just that this player or this thing happens. So I got 3 prop bets. I'm going prop bet crazy. Once again, I mentioned earlier, Singletary had prop bets. I'd be betting on him rushing. I'm hoping that happens because I'm putting a lot of money on that on Sunday. But Dawson Knox is returning for Buffalo. We are so happy to have Dawson Knox back. I can't freaking wait. At least 1 touchdown. He's going to score. They're going to give him the ball to say, hey, welcome back. 10 to win 20 for that. Najee Harris. I'm betting on Najee Harris. I don't trust Pittsburgh. They scare me, but I do love Najee Harris. It's going to be raining / snowing and cold. Pittsburgh's kind of part of that cold front that's going through there. And they're playing the Saints. I mean, not the Saints, the Lions. Sorry. I don't know why I said the Saints. They're playing the Lions. They're the Lions. They might. I actually saw a bet for they go undefeated this week, and it was like plus 700. I'm like, that's. I mean, yeah, plus 700 is a lot of money, but that's not a lot when you're talking about a team going undefeated or winless, I should say. So, Najee Harris over 93.5 yards rushing, 20 to win 17. It is minus money. That's how confident Vegas is that it's going to happen as well. Look, in this too, I don't have to worry about who wins. I just have to worry that he runs the crap out of the ball, and he's going to, especially when, Ben had his little pectoral issues this week. So in Detroit is one of the worst against the rush as well. That helps as well in that bet. And then my last prop bet is there is one. I got this on the Caesars app where it is Waller and Kelsey both scoring a touchdown. So it's kind of a prop bet that's a parlay in and of itself. So both of them have to score a touchdown. And if both of them score a touchdown, it's 20 to win 55. You got 2 of the best tight ends going against each other. You got 2 quarterbacks that rely on their tight ends heavily, especially with, Carr losing one of his best receivers. And, when you look at Mahomes, Kelsey's always been one of his best receivers, even though he's tight end. So I think that's easy money, 20 to win 55. I'm going to take that and run.
I think you're right, man. That's going to be so much fun to watch. I can't wait. I can't wait to see that.
I agree. I can't wait to see that game too. What's your prop this week?
I only found one that I liked. I've got Justin Herbert of the Chargers throwing over 335 passing yards. That's going to win me $16 for a $10 bet. I think he lights up the air. I think the Chargers win this game close at the end. And you know what's good for an over bet like this? Overtime. Overtime would be very good for this.
Yep. And that's exactly what I was going to say.
So
this game has overtime written all over it.
100% it does. So let's look for that to come through for me. Just the one. Look, I'm a Raider guy, but you can't look at what Herbert's doing and not be impressed. He's playing great. I thought he was going to be a scrub. He's proved me wrong. I'm excited in that manner. I could care less about the Chargers, but
I love his attitude. Last week when they, put on their performance, he did great, and he comes back. I'm upset at my 8 incompletions. Really, you were like 25 of 33 or whatever it was, and you're mad about the 8 incompletions when you put up 300 some yards to it. Like, I love that attitude. It's
love
great.
Love it.
All right, our last bet that we're going to cover is a pleaser. Now, if you remember back to the teasers, we take the points and put them in our favor. A pleaser, we take 6 points and take it away from us, making it harder to win this. But because of that, our odds go through the roof.
Yes.
So we haven't hit a pleaser yet. We added it 2 weeks ago. Neither one of us has hit one yet.
This is the week.
This is the week. Excuse me. Mine is New England -7. We've already talked about that game. And I'm going Detroit, Pittsburgh under 36.5 because of what I said. I think Najee Harris is going to run the crap out of the ball. I think he's going to get like 200 yards rushing, which is going to lead to less points by them. And, Swift, he's probably been looking to catch it out of the backfield. And I think Pittsburgh's D is not going to allow them to do that. So that's going to lead to them not scoring a lot of points. And I'm going to take my $10. So it's going to be 60.
I love it. Let's do it. I
hope so.
I've got a similar pleaser. I also took New England -7, but instead of taking the under, I took Tennessee -8.5 against the Saints. Kind of a weird number there with the 8.5, but man, I just find it difficult to pick against Tennessee right now. I just can't. And when you have New Orleans coming in with their second and third string quarterback, their second string running back, it really could open up for Tennessee. This is a game that they could go out and just blow out the Saints.
Yeah, and I think once again without Kamara there, they don't got a lot of options. So I think you're absolutely right there. So your 10 wins you 60 there, and I love that too. So maybe I'll jump on. Maybe I'll put two pleasers in this weekend. New England and Tennessee, New England and the under. All right, our last thing we like to do here is we like to do our final four picks. We just say at this week who we think our final four is going to be. And what's funny is we have a script that we fill out separately, and then we look at it before the show, kind of talk about it, and then we do it separately. And this week, our final fours are exactly the same.
Which is hysterical.
We filled it out separately, not even looking, and they ended up be the same. So we've already talked about Tennessee. We think Tennessee is legit and hard to argue against. I'm picking Buffalo, and I'm straight picking Buffalo because I'm a homer. Okay, and I'm going to freely admit it. But when you look at this, you go, okay, New England could overtake Buffalo in the division, and then you look at New England. Baltimore, after what happened to them last night, it's hard to take. The same thing happened to Buffalo. But if I'm going to pick one of those two, I'm going to pick Buffalo based on what Buffalo did to Baltimore last year. Yep. And then, you got your Chargers, your Raiders, your Chiefs, and Denver all in the hunt in that division. I mean, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh are still in the hunt. But when you're looking, I would say Chargers and Vegas are topping that. But do I think they can compete? And this is no knock on the Raiders, but do I think they can compete with a Buffalo or Baltimore? I don't.
Not right now.
No, so that's why I'm taking Buffalo. And once again, it probably would have been Baltimore if they would have won last night, but losing last night, I'm going to stick with my homer and go Buffalo. So that's my AFC. My NFC, we already talked about the Cardinals. I'm not betting against the Cardinals. They just look too good right now. And, I mean, they could lose a game or two. And then my discussion changes when I've said it before. If they don't have a bye, I think it's harder for them with the experience to go all the way through the playoffs. They have a lack of experience in the playoffs, so I think it's going to be harder for them to do. But right now, they have a first-round bye, and I think that makes it easier for them. They do that. And then I was struggling between Green Bay and Tampa Bay on who I thought should be first. Obviously, after last week's shellacking of Dallas, I'm going to take them out, but they could easily be put back in, but they got some issues they need to clean up. The Rams are obviously trying to make a run at it. But after what happened to them last week, I'm not taking them out of the running. I just think that Tampa Bay or Green Bay is going to be better, but I'm going to take Tampa Bay on the sole fact of Rodgers may not be back this week, and Rodgers versus Brady, I think they're both phenomenal quarterbacks, but when you're talking about winning, I got to take Brady. You got to. And as a Bills fan, that hurts us for what he did to us for so freaking long. But I've got to. I got to. When you bet, you should bet as much as you can with your head. And my head said Brady's a winner.
In a huge coincidence, I took exactly the same ones. And for the exact same reasons too. Like I'm not betting against Brady. His team is the team to beat. 22 returning starters from last year. They are the team to beat. Is Arizona good enough to beat them? I don't know. Maybe. It depends on if Arizona catches them at the right time. Um, and if Arizona is 100% healthy,
Well,
right?
and if Tampa Bay, yeah, well, that's true. If they're 100% healthy, and then if Tampa Bay does like they did last year, where they have to go all the way from wild card to the end, and they have to go through Arizona towards the end, that's going to be tough. Where
And if
if
they have to play three road games, sorry to interrupt you,
Mhm.
three road games
No,
again.
yeah, yeah, it's going to be tough. And do I think Brady can do it? Absolutely. Do I think they have way more experience? Absolutely.
Mhm.
But I mean, if that ends up being the first game after Arizona has their bye, I think
Mhm.
Arizona's got a real good shot to beat Tampa Bay. If that
Same.
comes later, it's going to be tough. I don't think if Tampa Bay pays anybody else but Arizona, I don't think anybody's going to beat them. That's why I have them in the Final Four.
No, that's a great point. That's a really good point. It's going to be very interesting to see how this year shakes down, especially with the Monday night playoff games now,
Mm-hmm. Well,
because
tell
that's
me
going
why you picked your AFC now.
to experience with Buffalo. I just think they're a better, well-rounded team. I think their defense is better than the Raiders or the Chargers. I think they have, as of today, I think they have more of they pass more of the test. Last once again, 16, 17 games now. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to throw a stinker out there, you burn the tape, and you move on. I don't think we're going to see that from Buffalo the rest of the year. And then Tennessee is just Tennessee. Like I just looked up their schedule, and other than the Jets loss, I mean, they go to Seattle early in the season and win with against Russell Wilson. Came back and won,
Mm-hmm.
right? Scored a touchdown in the last minute and then forced overtime. They beat the Colts, then they lost to the Jets. They beat the Jaguars, they beat the Bills, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Colts, they beat the Rams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty damn
That's a
good
gaunt.
for
Well,
yeah.
and here's what I'm going to say about Buffalo, about Tennessee. Even you can throw Dallas in this mix on what happened to them last week, even Cincinnati. Um, when you play these games where so many of them, like people were giving shit, Buffalo's got like 8 weeks of bye weeks because they played the Jets twice and they play
Mhm.
Houston and they play Miami and da 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 da. Sometimes when you're playing those games, it's hard to get up constantly for those games that you're. And I understand you're professional, you should always be, but you're still a human being. And when it's like, man, we're playing another team, I don't have to get up for like they're terrible. Jacksonville's terrible. They got one win. Like, oh my god,
Mhm.
let's just move on. I want to play. I they're looking forward to the postseason. They know they're going to be there. They know their goal is that Super Bowl. They're looking forward to it, and it's almost like, and I'm not saying this is the way they think, but as a human, so why the hell are we gonna play the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars? And you go into that game like, man, it's another freaking easy win, and then it's
Yeah.
not because you're not prepared, but it kind of drags. It's that middle of the season where it's starting to drag a little bit. The beginning you're hyped to be back, the end you're hyped to get in the playoffs, and in the middle you kind of drag a little bit, especially with the season being 1 week longer. And that might happen to Tennessee too. Now that they've gone through the gauntlet, they might have a couple of letdown games where it's like, oh, why are we playing these? Let's get to the playoffs now. So that's a real thing, and that happens time and
Here's
time
some
again.
here's something that's going to play into Tennessee's favor if they continue their streak. Their bye week is week 13.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be huge. They got the Saints, the Texans, and then the Patriots, and then a bye week. So
Mm-hmm.
they're one of those teams that's going to get a December bye week, so they can rest up,
Mm-hmm.
play
Get healthy.
one more team with a winning record the rest of the way, and then and then march in the playoffs. The
Correct.
schedule fits perfectly for Tennessee, unfortunately for me, but
I
it is what
agree.
it is.
I agree. All right, that concludes our week 10 edition. I hope you all have a great week. BS, I hope you have a great week. I
Same
hope
to
we
you,
all
Couch.
I hope we all take down Vegas. Uh Remember to hit us up with your betting questions, comments, anything. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. BSB Podcast 1 at gmail.com is our email. Hit us up. If you have one of our numbers, text us. We love talking. Last week on Twitter, I had like 38 bets on Sunday. There's definitely more stuff that's going on the show. So please let us know what your thoughts are, questions, anything. We'd love to talk about it. And as a reminder, this is purely for entertainment. We do not guarantee anything. All right, BS, I love you. You guys at home, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you, and we hope you all have a great time.
All right. Bye, everybody.